think that offensively, you have to have more players on your team. You have to have an ability to throw the ball to other people other than Edelman. And whose job was that? The GM and the head coach, Bill Belichick. He has to make sure that he has someone that can take the place of Rob Gronkowski. They never replaced that guy. He was the biggest mismatch in the NFL for a very long time. Obviously, they wanted Antonio Brown. Tom Brady was upset that they let him go, released him because of all the off-the-field stuff. But at some point, you got to replace him. They replaced him with Mohamed Sanu. He's just not enough. So some of it certainly in this game in particular falls on the plate of Tom Brady, but not the entire season and why they don't have a bye.
Well, so I agree with you on the Gronk point in this regard. It was very odd that they didn't prioritize tight end in any way, shape, or form. You were not going to be able to fully replace Rob Gronkowski, but we were talking last year. Could Rob Gronkowski retire? It could not have been a shock to New England that he walked away after the Super Bowl championship this past February, and to not have that anywhere on, for it to be Matt LaCosse and listen, I like Ben Watson, but what is he, 38 years old, the oldest tight end in football? For those to be your replacement plans, that's poor team building in that regard. But the other weapons, they have prioritized them. They spent a first-round pick on a wide receiver for the first time since Belichick has been with the Patriots. They then traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu during the year to try to add more weaponry. We saw a player traded for a second-round pick, wide receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, same day. He's made an impact in San Francisco. We have seen rookie wide receivers make impacts this year, DK Metcalf with the Seahawks and Russell Wilson, McCole Hardman with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. But the best example might be A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, who nobody was looking at as an impact rookie when Marcus Mariota was his quarterback. And then Ryan Tannehill stepped in, and Tannehill's been sensational. But as soon as he got improved quarterback play, it's like, oh, this guy's really good. So maybe N'Keal Harry isn't a bust. Maybe he's not a guy that was just really good at Arizona State. Maybe he's a guy that needs better quarterback play. And I understand the defense blew the final drive against Miami. Stephon Gilmore, who was looking like the defensive player of the year until that week, got lit up throughout the game by Devontae Parker, particularly on that last drive. But the defense this year, 12 times, has allowed the opposition to, or held the opposition to 17 or fewer points. That's all their wins. They're 0-4 when the defense has allowed the opposition to score more than 17. And aside from Baltimore, none of those games have been super high scoring. It is 28 against Houston, 27 against Miami, 23 against Kansas City, and then the 37 against Baltimore, where the defense and offense didn't play well. Like, you've got to be able to win a game this year where your defense doesn't play well. They have not done that a single solitary time, including Week 17 against the worst defense in football, Miami, where you should have been able to get to 30 points.
So Bill Belichick's plan was to count on N'Keal Harry, this rookie, to come in to save the day, take the place of a Hall of Famer Rob Gronkowski, a playmaker, a mismatch for Rob Gronkowski. That makes absolutely no sense. He has to be able to find someone else to throw the football to. So, you know, I know they try to replace him. They try to get Mohamed Sanu. He just wasn't up to par. Emmanuel Sanders probably would have fit the bill. Here's the other thing that this offense needs. They need better offensive line play. You have to protect your quarterback much better. They have done that in the last game, but they also have to be able to run the football. Sony Michel was a big part of that run that they went on last year. They have to be able to do that consistently. This year so far, they haven't been able to do that besides the last 3 games with Sony Michel. That's part of the reason why they don't have the bye as well.
How much of this is about Tom Brady? If there was a different quarterback in there, you think with the pieces they have, the results would be different this year?
Yes, of course. Look at the team.
You like the team they have? It's really just the quarterback?
Of course. We're talking about wide receivers as if Julian Edelman passed away. Like, I've been hearing from Pats fans for 5 years that Julian Edelman is building a Hall of Fame resume. He's been there, right? I know he's a little banged up, like all the league is after Week 17. He is still there. This idea, you know how I know, and you really know, you have a very limited passing game? When a fullback injury is devastating to your offense. Because who's Patrick Mahomes' fullback? Anybody know? Who's Deshaun Watson's fullback? Who's Russell Wilson's fullback? Because we don't talk about fullbacks if your quarterback's really good, because a fullback is the only team with a legitimate offense, the fullback's a big part of it, Juszczyk in 49ers. Now, and he's almost like an H-back. Like, he can catch the ball, he can run routes, he's a great blocker, but he is the rarity in that. That's not what James Devlin was doing. James Devlin was wearing his neck roll and blocking people because even at the end of last year, they didn't think they could rely on Brady. They had to become a running team. And this year, I'm not arguing the Patriots have elite weapons. I do not think that. But the way they are discussed, it's as if they have the worst weapons in football. That is flatly not the case. Yet, over the final half of the season, show it to me if we could, you could argue over the last half of the season, they've had one of the very worst quarterbacks in football. Dead last in completion percentage, 30th in yards per attempt, 27th in passer rating. The one thing he's done well in the last half of the year is not turn the ball over, except for in those 4 losses, in every single one of those games, he had a critical turnover at a critical juncture that potentially changed the flow of the game or ended a comeback dead in its tracks. That's on the quarterback. And it seems blasphemous, but I'm curious your thoughts on this, Brian. It seems odd to me how many people, either fans or media members, are hesitant to blame the quarterback GOAT and therefore are blaming the coach GOAT. Because if the roster stinks, then you know who it's on? Bill Belichick. He has earned as much benefit of the doubt as Tom Brady, I would think, except there's not a logical reason why Belichick all of a sudden would have fallen off. There's for Brady. He's 42 damn years old trying to do something no one in the history of sport has done. Like, it's not shocking that he's not good anymore. I think some people just don't want to believe he's not good anymore.
When you're 42, you need better pieces around you. You're not 24 anymore, so he definitely needs those better pieces around him. That's what I've been saying. Bill Belichick is a big part of finding those better pieces that should be around him. The numbers still are there. 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. So he's still producing. He needs to do it on a better level because those pieces around him can't do it themselves.
All right, let's break there. Coming up, hey, any chance the Cowboys actually keep Jason Garrett? We'll tell you why we're asking next on First Things First.
They better not.
An attractive destination, not because of Baker Mayfield, but because they have a great roster. You know,
But isn't the quarterback the heart and soul of where that roster begins?
It does, but you can do what Arizona did and not fall in love with your quarterback like they did Josh Rosen and draft a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who you want to bring in. So I think it's just attractive because everything that's around Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield, if he gets the right signal caller in there, I would just like to see how he can go. You know, if he can bring in a Josh McDaniels, someone that can come in, you know, being a head coach is all about getting the guys to perform at their best. So if Josh McDaniels come in, tell Baker, sit him down, hey, you remind me of Brady did when he was young. Just make these throws. These are the reads you need to make. Go to Odell Beckham and say, hey, I remember when I had Randy Moss, and at one time he felt like he wasn't getting the ball as much, but it won us championships because he was a decoy. I think that would make that team better. It would be somebody that they respect with Josh McDaniels coming in, and I think it would be great for the team. And another head coach that is on the list that I think will be valuable is Greg Roman out of Baltimore. Yeah, just because you got to get him away from Lamar Jackson right now. Those two together seem unstoppable. And defensive coordinators are having, just a week in the division.
Just to make
exactly.
Sure
And if he feels like Baker Mayfield isn't a quarterback for him, go draft a quarterback. There's plenty of mobile quarterbacks coming out of college that can get the job done. So those two coaches, I think.
So you, just real quick to follow up on the Roman point, because I think Greg Roman's going to be an NFL head coach. Baker does not, to me, appear to be near the athlete necessary to take advantage of the scheme Greg Roman wants to run, what he did so successfully with Cap, what he did a little bit with Tyrod Taylor, and what he's obviously doing to historical success with Lamar Jackson. To you, it's on the board. It seems that the Browns, after next season, move on from Baker entirely, especially if they hire a head coach like Greg Roman that loves the roster more.